everybody, how are we all doing? I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome back to my channel. You joined me on my sofa. I'm feeling very cozy. I have a cup of coffee in hand, the candles are lit. It's going to be a very cozy video. I hope you're all doing really well. As you can tell by the title, we're going to have a bit of an at-home day, a bit of a baking day, foodie video. Everything that brings me joy is going to be in this. It's a joyful video. I hope you're all doing good. I have a wonderful cup of coffee in my hand, which is very relevant because it's going to center around this video all about coffee and things that I love. This video is in partnership with Pact Coffee. Now, they are a fantastic subscription service that can bring coffee to your doorstep in any variety that you like it, whether that is in whole bean form, ground coffee, Espresso capsules, or anything in between. As you know, I absolutely love coffee. I have filmed a coffee video before and you all really did enjoy it, and it's just one of those things I really do enjoy. It's the first thing I have when I wake up in the morning. I make myself a cup of coffee and it just starts my day well. Pact Coffee are brilliant. They're not like any other subscription service. You're not tied in. You can customize it to how you want it depending on what flavors you like, the roast type, the variety. Nothing is restrictive with Pact Coffee as well. If you want more, you can order more. If you want to pause your subscription, it's all good. And again, a really good idea for a Christmas present. Anyone out there who loves a bit of coffee, you can get involved. I've got a beautiful, beautiful roast here. I'm just having it black. I made it in a little French press and So in this video, we're going to be doing a bit of baking, as I have said, using some of this delicious Pact coffee. Coffee and bakes really just, I absolutely love it. It's like two of my favorite things. So we're going to be doing a delicious spiced apple, date and coffee walnut cake. We're also going to be doing a lovely avocado and a salted caramel cheesecake. So we've got 3 recipes, all featuring Pact amazing coffee. They've also been very generous as well and giving me a discount code for you guys to use. If you are going to use it this Christmas for a loved one or even for yourself, I'll leave it on the screen right now. So right, I'm going to finish my cup of coffee and we're going to go ahead into the kitchen and get baking, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to show you all of the Pact goodies as well that we've got, because there's a lot of coffee going on and it's going to be wonderful. Right, have a sip of this, let's get involved. Okay, so this is my delivery that I've had sent to my door and it is absolutely packed. Pardon the pun. I think that's probably why they've called it Pact. Full of coffee, which is fantastic. As you know, I'm a bit of a coffee fiend. Ground coffee, we have a festive coffee going on. We have whole bean coffee. So there's a lot going on. I will leave it all linked down below if you guys want to check it out. If you're not much of a coffee drinker, but you know someone who is, like I say, a great Christmas present. So we're going to be essentially incorporating this. We're going to be brewing it in the Espresso machine to get some gorgeous home barista espresso. We're going to be doing some V60 to pop in the loaf cake, and then we're going to do the cheesecake and we're going to use that in a filter as well. So we've got lots of coffee. Let's get involved. Okay, so the first thing we're going to get cracking on with making is a delicious spiced apple, date and espresso loaf cake. We've made this before. It is absolutely delicious. It's got like a lovely sugary nutty crust. Oh, it's so good. Let me show you the ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to leave all of the actual quantities down below so you guys can follow the recipe along. But you're going to need some unsalted butter, some brown sugar, 2 eggs, a cooking apple which I've just peeled and cut up into really small chunks, some milk, plain flour, some medjool dates, some salt, and then we're going to need some baking powder, some ginger and some cinnamon. And of course, it can't be a coffee cake without coffee, so we're going to use some of the Pact Coffee Select. This is the fruit and nut espresso blend, which I thought would be really good for obviously a fruit and nut loaf cake. So we've got a Brazilian Rwanda kind of like mix, a hint of milk, chocolate, fruit and nut, and it's whole bean. So I'm going to brew a 50ml espresso of this in the machine and then leave that to cool. Okay, so I've brewed the double espresso. Oh my god, that smells very rich, quite a dark, nutty scent, which is really good. Basically, that's going to be the most perfect espresso to go into cake. So I'm going to leave that to cool completely and get cracking on with the actual loaf cake. Okay, so my oven is preheated to 180 degrees. In the KitchenAid mixer, you can of course use a spoon if you'd like. I'm going to add in the soft butter and the brown sugar. And then we're just going to give that a beat on quite a high speed until that's beautifully creamy. Okay, so now this is nice and creamy. I'm gonna add in essentially the remainder of the ingredients. So we're gonna add in the chopped dates. These are just wonderful medjool dates to give like a really lovely taste. We also have some baking powder, the ginger and cinnamon going in. We're gonna add in the milk. This is just regular, good old milk. We're gonna add the eggs in, so just doing 1. I crack them into a ramekin just because I find it easier. sometimes there can be a little bit of shell, so I just crack them in here, double check we're all good, and then pour that in. And then we're gonna add the plain flour and leave roughly around, I'd say a spoonful in the bottom of the bowl, a bit more than that. And then add in the chopped apple into the flour and just give that a good coat. It just means that it's nice and essentially evenly distributed once it goes into this mixture. So I'm just gonna turn this on ever so slowly and get all of that incorporated, and then add in the apple and espresso. So now I'm just gonna add in the apples. So these have just been coated in the flour and they're perfect. And then I'm gonna add in 50 ml of the cooled Pact espresso. So that's gonna go straight in. And then we're gonna give this one last final beat with a bit of salt, and then it's ready to go in the tin. So because this is a loaf tin, we're gonna bake it in this. This actually was my nana's. It's like, it must be 60, 70-year-old. It's trusted loaf tin. Every loaf cake I make, touch wood, turns out good. So I'm gonna grab some of this. This is just 25 grams of unsalted butter that I've just quickly melted. I'm gonna grab a pastry brush and just brush it directly into the tin. So this kind of just stops it sticking, which is perfect. Sorry, it's moving around a little bit. So I'm gonna basically coat all of the sides, then add in some plain flour, and then I'll come back to you for the next step. I did forget to mention you're also gonna need some pecans for this. So I've just roughly chopped them up, and in a bowl, I'm just gonna add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar and just give them a little bit of a stir. This is gonna form like a wonderful base to our cake. So I've got the loaf tin here, which I've just coated in flour, and I'm gonna tip that directly into the base and just flatten that down. So then when the cake batter now goes in, this forms like a beautiful golden brown sugared crust to go on top of the cake. So when you turn it out, that will be the top. I'm now gonna add in the cake batter. So this is the gorgeous espresso apple and date batter. So we're just gonna pour it straight in. Now it's quite a large loaf cake, so this will definitely serve 2 people, a lot of portions, or family. You can make this as a dessert for sure. So now that your loaf tin is filled, this needs to bake at 160-degree fan oven or 180 non-fan for around 65 to 70 minutes. If you pop a skewer in at around 60, and then you can get a gauge of how much or little it needs left to cook, and then it'll be beautifully golden brown and ready to glaze. Okay, so while the loaf cake is in the oven, I'm gonna make a start on the second dish, which I'm gonna show you. Really good for the party season coming up, if obviously we're allowed. It's just a delicious dessert, and it's just almost embarrassing how easy it is. It's basically a salted caramel coffee cheesecake, no bake, pop it in the fridge, sets in about an hour. It's a dream, let me show you. Okay, so these are the ingredients you are going to need. So we need some, kind of like some cream cheese, so mascarpone is a really good option. Got some melted unsalted butter, some chocolate for the topping. For the base, we're gonna do digestive biscuits. If you're from the US, these are like graham crackers. We've got some caramel that I haven't made. I'm all about cutting corners in the kitchen, and trust me, if you can get this out of a can, then please do. Obviously, you can't be salted caramel without salt. And then we also have some gorgeous double cream here as well. So that is essentially the base. And of course, it can't be a coffee cheesecake without coffee. So this is a V60 that was from the Pact website. They've got lots of different coffee brewing equipment on there if you are in the market. And the coffee that we're gonna be using is this Brazilian roast. And it's really good because it has the brew type on here as well, so it's saying a V60 like pour over, which is perfect. Hints of chocolate malt milkshake, which sound delicious. I'm thinking chocolate would be a really good pairing with the chocolate to go on top. So we have a theme going on here, guys. So I'm going to quickly brew this, let it chill, and then turn my attention to the cheesecake. Okay, so let's get cracking with the cheesecake base. So I'm gonna add the digestives into a bowl and just quickly break them up just to help them along. You can use whatever biscuits you prefer in this, guys. This is just a really good base recipe, so please don't take it quite literally. You can use whichever you'd like. So you can do this in a food processor, but I like to just use the back of a rolling pin, get rid of any unspent anger, and just give that a good bashing until it's fine breadcrumbs, and then we're gonna add in the melted butter. Okay, so once you've got like this kind of like rough breadcrumb consistency, you can take it as fine or as coarse as you'd like it. We're gonna add in the melted butter, so we're just gonna pour that straight in. And then just using a spoon, just make sure all of the biscuit crumbs are coated. So your mixer should look like wet sand, kind of like consistency now.
And then I'm making this in 2 of these like glass water glasses, but you can use it any kind of ramekin you prefer. You can do a large one, whatever takes your fancy. Just put the biscuit crumbs directly into the base of each jar. You can add as much or as little as you'd like, but just make sure that there's enough in there you get a nice biscuit topping. So into the stand mixer, I'm gonna add the double cream. So it's gonna pour that directly in. Again, you can double the quantity of this if you're making a large one or if you're making it for more than 2 people, but we just need to whisk this up until it's nice and fluffy. So once that has started to double in size, you want to add in your cream cheese. This is just lovely, rich mascarpone, but feel free to add whichever you prefer if you have a favourite, and then whisk that up. Now usually you would add some kind of sugar into your cheesecake mix, but as we're having some caramel here, this is perfect in terms of sweetness, so we're just going to add a good dollop of that into the bottom of each of the bases. And then to really intensify the salt flavour, I'm just going to add some wonderful Himalayan rock salt just on top of the caramel. This just gives it a most insane salted taste, which is very much needed. And now all I'm going to do is just pour in some of the coffee that we just brewed in the V60, not a lot, just a splash. And then just stir all that together until it loosens up the mixture and makes it beautifully golden brown and tastes like coffee. You can of course add as much or as little coffee as you'd like. I really like a good intense coffee taste, so I add quite a bit. And now all I'm going to do is just dollop the cheesecake mixture on top of the caramel. Don't worry about the tops as well, we can clean those up for sure. The messy bakes are the best. Okay, so these just need to go into the fridge to fully set up. So we've got the coffee, wonderful cheesecake topping, salted caramel, and then the biscuit base. And then we'll just finish them off with some grated chocolate before eating. So the loaf cake has came out of the oven and it's cooled ever so slightly. It's still slightly warm to the touch, but now is the best time to put the icing on. So in this bowl here, I've just got some icing sugar and stirred in some of the Pact Filter V60 coffee. So it's just got this beautiful, essentially like an espresso glaze that we're just going to drizzle over the top of the cake. So we just do a little thin drizzle all the way over, which just looks delightful. And then I'm just going to finish that off with some crumbled pecans on top, just to give it a nice little bit of texture as well. Gorgeous. That is your coffee, date and apple spiced espresso loaf cake, and it looks delicious. Okay, so now we're gonna make a really super quick affogato, which is honestly one of my favorite desserts to ever make, simply just because it's so easy to do. All you need is some good quality vanilla ice cream. This is a really nice soft Madagascan vanilla. Obviously with an affogato you need coffee, and I've just brewed some of the Pact coffee. Now this is the Colombian roast with hints of dark chocolate and candied fruit. I brewed this in the cafetiere. And I've just poured some of it out into this steel jug. It's slightly warm, which means it'll be perfect. So once we pop the ice cream in and pour over the hot coffee, the ice cream will just start to melt. And then we've got some wonderful amaretti biscuits here, which are like gorgeous almondy biscuit that we're just gonna crumble on top. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with 2 generous scoops of ice cream into these lovely martini glasses. And now I'm just gonna pour over some of the delicious Pact coffee just over the vanilla ice cream. Beautiful. And then I'm just going to add in some of these wonderful amaretti biscuits just in the top, like so. And that is a simple espresso avocado, one of the easiest desserts to ever make, but so good. So the cheesecakes have had around an hour in the fridge, and what I'm going to do is grab some of this salted caramel chocolate and just grate some shavings on top. I'm just going to use a fairly sharp knife and just create some shavings. I'm just going to sprinkle them directly on top. Gorgeous. And there you have it, one very delicious salted caramel and espresso cheesecake ready to absolutely devour in T-minus 2 minutes. So I've just laid everything out on our little dining table here so you can get a little bit of an insight as to how I've used the Pact coffee in the wonderful espresso loaf cake, the affogato, and the salted caramel cheesecake. So this is kind of 3 inspirational desserts that you can make at home using the delicious coffee, which is so tasty. I don't even know what I want to start with, probably the cheesecake. Right, after a couple of hours in the kitchen, many a coffee, I am
Wyatt, I'm gonna sit down and enjoy this delicious avocado. Do you know, this is how I've always said you can tell you've got a good coffee if you can actually taste the notes in it. I'm getting nuttiness and fruitiness, and with the vanilla and the almond, I just think that's very nice. Again, if you do want to just have your classic coffee on a morning, drink that and that's it, then by all means do that as well. I just thought I'd be a little bit inventive and show you different ways that you can incorporate coffee in your bakes and also your enjoyment of drinking it too. Huge shout out to Pact Coffee as well. As I've said, if you want to check them out, I'll link them down below with the discount code as well. Genuinely one of the best subscription services I've ever seen when it comes to coffee. I'm going to enjoy this. Thank you so much for watching as always. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to press the thumbs up button, and if you could click subscribe down below, that would be amazing. Let me know as well what your favourite coffee is, or any coffee desserts that I might have made next time. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to enjoy this, and I'll catch you all very soon in a future video. Bye for now.